I'm
is
trying
this,
to do
a
like
juggalo?
a dripping sound, like a.
Oh, I thought you were doing a quiet juggalo whoop.
I was trying to mimic the sound of a dripping inside a cavern of sorts.
You remember those boys in high school who could
Yes.
what is
Dalton.
that? Yeah.
I don't know.
Okay.
Dalton pulled me with that.
What this is a visual thing that we're doing because none of us can make the noise. It's the thing where you take
It's like
your index finger and your thumb and you like flick them against
Flip your chin.
the bottom of your chin, the bottom of your jaw,
Yeah.
and it makes like a water drop noise.
And you open your mouth and close it in a way that makes like a
no.
sound.
Do you think the flicking is actually doing anything, or is it all the mouth?
Yeah, I think it's like it's changing the frequency of the reverberation.
Yeah.
Inside your mouth.
If you know how to
Much
do
like
this, call in.
You might reverberate inside a
cave.
As if you might whisper in a cave.
A cave. Hello? Oh.
Hello?
Oh.
We're getting dank today. We're getting damp.
Ooh,
We're getting a little mud on our knees.
Hello? Whoa?
Yeah.
We're getting that musty
I might sound
smell.
weird because I'm under your very feet at this moment.
Are you in the New York subway system? Are you in the sewer?
No, I'm in Kentucky.
Ooh.
Are you in a cave that's really big that might even have a name?
It's the longest cave system in the world.
Which is crazy.
Which is crazy. In Kentucky.
Did you guys know
where
that?
I am.
That I've learned it before
I
and
was
forgotten
shocked.
it.
Like, I didn't know that until I was
Yeah,
like
maybe I
looking
have
at
to.
stuff for this episode. And I was like, wait a minute. The big cave near us
It's the biggest.
is the
That's
biggest in the
biggest.
world? Like, I thought it was just like regionally a big deal.
We certainly all learned that in the 3rd or 4th grade when we had a unit on caves, and we went to Mammoth Cave, and we went to Blue Springs Cavern, and we
What?
probably went to a couple other. We definitely
went to Mammoth
Wolf
Cave?
Yeah,
we went to Mammoth.
Yeah,
I've been to Mammoth Cave.
you have been to
Yeah.
Mammoth Cave.
I thought that was Blue Springs.
we
We've
did.
been to
Blue Springs
both.
is the one where you're in the boat.
Oh, I don't. I
Blue
didn't
Springs is
go
really
on the
fun
boat
'cause-
day.
What?
I remember going to a cave, but I don't. I remember for some reason I missed the boat one.
You didn't see the crawdads that were albino
No,
and the albino fish.
no, I missed the boat one.
It was so cool. The boat
That
one's
was
really
amazing.
fun.
Yeah,
Mammoth Cave is like, yeah, it's big, huge. That's cool. Big cave.
big
But-
cave, but not.
wet
It's not.
cave?
Not flashy.
It's not flashy, no.
Well, and I think that's going to be it's going to factor into what we're talking about today as
Yeah.
well. We're talking about caves, guys.
Caves.
All y'all. I'm trying to do a Kentucky accent. I can't do it. All y'all people. No, can't
Wow.
do it.
Dylan, I know you can do it. Just be yourself, but a little sleepy.
Okay. Yeah. Well, that's not fair. I'm from Chicago.
Nope.
Came down to southern Indiana by way of Massachusetts, so I don't think I have a. That's yeah. I don't identify with the culture, the cave culture.
Dylan famously grew up next to Mr. T.
Yeah, that's true. That's true.
I guess grew up next to is maybe overstating it slightly.
Yeah. We lived in the servants' quarters of a mansion where my parents both worked.
They were Mr. T's servants.
They were no, they worked at a artist retreat. They were like doing art. They were hosting artists at this big crazy mansion, and we lived in the servants' quarters. And I was a baby. I remember there was a washing machine, and I remember I had a blue plastic wrench. I remember there were big concrete round balls everywhere that were not concrete, like chiseled stone orbs everywhere. That's a weird core memory as a toddler to have. It's just
Orbs?
like all the stone, like limestone,
Chiseled stone.
yeah, like rough chiseled orbs.
That's
like
why
that-
you're like this.
Yeah, and then the prairie. I remember all the prairie. There was so much.
Would you not say
prairie.
that rough chiseled orbs are still one of your primary interests?
Yeah, I would say so. I can't think of any other rough chiseled orbs, I guess. But if I were to run across one,
Yeah, it's like you're searching
you-
for one.
If you came to Queens out here where I am, you'd see a lot of those.
a lot of
Why did-
orbs like that.
There's a lot of interesting gauche stonework.
Interesting.
I like
And
that.
I actually I shouldn't say where I live, but I occupy an area that is near several stone manufacturers and chiselers.
She squats.
Interesting.
I squats. That's
She-
where I mean the mice and the pigeons squat.
Yeah, she's doing an occupation. She's in a DMZ.
I wonder if it's the same lady from my childhood. So there was like this lady who was always at the art place that was just doing endless imperfect limestone spheres. Like they were like lumpy, they weren't perfect, and they had chisel marks all over them, and they were.
God, people love that shit.
of-
Artists love some lumpy bullshit.
They love a texture. Y'all love a texture. Let's be real.
Do you-
know.
Was
I'm
she
so
like
over it.
leaning into how she was actually not good at making it smooth, or was she like actually doing it on purpose?
She was actually doing it on purpose.
Ugh,
Like she would.
exhausting.
I would assume so. I mean, they were everywhere. There were like some, even when we moved away, like there were a few in our garden, just because there were so many, ranging from 6 feet high and across to fist sized. They're just
Do you remember her
everywhere.
name?
No, I don't. I'm fond of the
Google.
orbs.
If she's not piling them up to make some kind of mega obelisk, what's her deal?
They're just everywhere. I don't
Yeah.
know. She was a woman
Is that
possessed
your
by
American
the orbs.
Stonehenge?
Yeah.
Wait, she was a woman. Wait.
Possessed by the orb.
A woman
Oh.
possessed by the orb. Yeah.
Okay.
She
All right.
saw the orb in her dream, and every day woke up trying to create it perfectly.
Is that true?
I don't know. I was like 4 when this was happening.
And then they whisked him away to Massachusetts to try to deprogram him.
Yeah, they took me to Massachusetts to try to get me that accent, and then it didn't stick.
To disturb you with a crab.
Yeah, they did take me to interact with the crabs. That was good. That was the last time I would see the ocean, I think, and then or really see it for what it is.
Yeah.
And then
Yeah.
and then I went to India. Wait, why am I just telling my? It's so hot. I'm just telling my
The
life
point
story.
is, now you're in Kentucky
My
where the big
life
caves are.
story.
Underneath his feet are the caves. And
That's
Yeah.
true.
we also, in Bloomington, in all of southern Indiana, are blessed with much karst formation. We're a cave people. We are a cave-dwelling folk.
We do have an
Mm-hmm.
unusually high concentration of, not unusual, I guess it makes sense with the
No, it is.
geology, but
It's unusual compared to most places.
yes, yeah, there
Doesn't
are
Indiana have like the most caves of any state or something?
that can't no way, right? What
Have
about
you
like the
What?
the West?
It's
The
either
West?
Utah
They have more
or
nature.
Kentucky.
Okay, let me Google
Yeah,
this.
they do have more nature.
They have
and
more nature in
fewer
West.
people.
But there's
Yeah.
caves everywhere underneath us because the karst limestone is so porous.
It's got to
It
be like
makes
Wyoming
caves.
or something. It's always
Which
Wyoming or
state
Montana. One of those
has
West ones.
The most caves. I mean, Kentucky certainly has like the most area of cave because you got the one big. Oh, Tennessee.
The longest.
Tennessee
They won longest road.
Yeah, Tennessee has 10,000 caves.
Tennessee's just a
Yeah.
mountain, though, right? It's just
Yeah.
all one big giant mountain.
Yeah, if a cave is in a mountain, is it really a cave because it's not actually underground? Does a cave have to be
Yeah,
below
is it
sea level?
Yeah.
I don't.
She knows.
These are the
That's a good
hard
point.
questions.
I would support that law.
Yeah. Okay, we
wait,
have 4,000 caves. More than 4,000.
that's not that many. Actually, you know what? That's terrifying. Are you guys? How do you feel about caves? I don't like caves. I'm scared of caves.
I'm scared but intrigued.
Yeah, I'm happy to go in a cave where I can stand up the whole time.
Definitely.
I do not want to get squozen in any way. I do not wish to go on a knee or a hand.
Mm-hmm.
I do not wish
No.
to go anywhere that I couldn't run through.
Yeah.
Even like when we were little kids, our school would take us to McCormick's Creek, which is a state park outside of Bloomington, and we would go through this cave called Wolf Cave. That's like a really easy cave. And when I was a kid, it felt extremely spacious. And just like you just walk through it. There's one
Yeah.
part we had to sort of climb over
yeah, I
like
have to
some
kind of
rocks.
shimmy.
You kind of
Yeah.
shimmy sideways, right? There's like a narrow
Yeah,
part.
you shimmy
Yeah.
sideways at one point.
But
Yeah.
then in high school, I went back to that very same cave and it was impossibly tiny. I was like, what was I thinking? I hate this.
I went back in high school and I like went into that like first part you can kind of go in and I was like, oh, there's going to be spiders in my hair. And then I got to the shimmy part and I was like, this isn't happening. Absolutely. Like, cause it was like 8 inches across or whatever. And I was like,
Yeah,
I'm just going to have
yeah.
to I'm going to get wedged in there. I'm never coming out, which
Yeah.
unfortunately, is how a lot of bad things happen.
Yeah, you do not want to get wedged in there.
No.
No.
I guess, should we talk about the bad cave first, like the wedge?
Yeah.
Let's get the bad one out of the way.
Let's get the really bad one out of the way.
Because I don't want to, so it's gonna get. How about we do this from a scale of dark to less dark? So the longer you listen,
like a funnel.
The less sad this episode will become.
The happiness funnel.
Yeah.
Yeah. Very good.
Right away, I will say we're ruling out any cave diving stuff, because that's just that's a different episode entirely. Also, I feel like that's like a different activity.
Are you referring to spelunking?
No, spelunking's just cave exploring.
Doesn't spelunking involve
then what's
wide
caving?
ropes?
Caving and spelunking are the same thing, I thought.
Doesn't spelunking involve ropes?
Well, yeah, doesn't caving also usually? Well, I think
Caving's got to involve some sort of safety feature.
Is caving not the umbrella term for any type of cave exploration?
Spelunking just redirected to oh, interesting. Okay, caving, also known as spelunking in the U.S. and Canada. Hi, Canadians.
Got it.
Or
Hello.
potholing in the United Kingdom and Ireland. Get out of here with
fuck
that.
off.
Are you serious? Oh my God, potholing.
Idiots.
My friend,
Squirty cream.
My friend George died potholing.
Eggy bread.
He got stuck upside down and died. Yeah, no, that's unacceptable. That's ridiculous.
Although the name of this cave that we're about to talk about is very feels like that, doesn't it?
Yes, and that's the last time I'll laugh during this segment. Nutty Putty Cave is a.
We're talking about Nutty Putty Cave, guys.
Yeah, Nutty Putty Cave is a cave in Utah that was named because of its soft brown putty-like walls.
Did you read the stuff about the walls? How they're they have a lot of silicone in them. If you've ever used a silicone-based primer, or maybe if you've ever played with kinetic sand, you understand the kind of thing we're talking about. That it was sludgy, where if you touched it, it would start moving on its own. And they were talking about how sound waves could make it move.
Ooh.
It was wiggly in there.
It's funny. So
forbidden putty.
Yeah. Well, it was known as as a popular easy, or at least a popular cave for just people to come visit, which is crazy kind of, because it seems awful and tight and squiggly. But yeah, so it was explored first in 1960, and then it became a popular caving destination. They actually shut it down at one point because there were 4 separate rescues of different people, including Boy Scouts, who got stuck in the cave. The cave was receiving over 5,000 visitors a year. This was the 60s and 70s and 80s, presumably. So there was there were no safety anythings. It was unlocked. You could just go in at any time. People would come in at night. And apparently the level of foot traffic actually smoothed the floors and walls, which made it even more dangerous, more slippery. It was already slippery. It's already called Nutty Putty Cave. They reopened it, unfortunately, in May of 2009. A geologist had predicted that from the caving department or whatever in Utah had said that they said they had predicted a fatality would occur in one particular part of the cave. And they reopened the cave anyway in May 2009. And then that's exactly what happened in November of the same year. A man named John Edward Jones, on a exploring trip, took a wrong turn. This is the other fucked up thing about caves. It's dark.
Yeah.
Usually only a specific pathway through the cave is the route you're supposed to go if you're a caver or a tourist, right?
But how the fuck are you supposed to know?
Right.
You have a map down there?
Yeah.
I can barely follow a city grid map, let alone a squiggly putty.
I mean, and even if you did have a map,
everything looks the same.
Yeah.
It's all wet and brown.
Yeah, it's all wet and brown and narrow and squiggly. And even if you did have a map, what's to say, how do you know, whether, you go a little far in a direction, then you turn around to go back, and there's 2 identical looking squiggly branching pathways, and you what the
Yeah.
hell do you do? One of them leads into unexplored, dangerous, permanent darkness, and then the other one leads back. And it's just like, you can be wrong, which unfortunately is exactly what happened to John Edward Jones when he mistook a passageway in the cave of the... So, no, okay, I said it was the last time. That's the last time I'll laugh. So there's a section of the cave called the Big Slide, which...
That sounds horrifying.
yeah,
Yeah.
which leads...
Big slide and darkness.
The Big Slide leads to a very narrow passageway called the Birth Canal. That's why.
No.
Yes. And this.
I've given birth. Listen, why would anybody voluntarily go through something that tight
Why was
it's not
this
to
like the
become
fun cave for tourists?
out in the world like a baby would?
Yeah,
That's not an experience anyone wants to repeat.
But yeah, he thought that an uncharted section of the cave's birth canal passageway was the way out, and he went down the wrong thing. Basically slipped and became stuck upside down in an area measuring 10 by 18 inches, which, Canadians, that's 25 by 46 centimeters. I don't know what that means.
You're just letting them rest on their laurels, not making them do any work at all.
Well, I want them to feel included. Our recent surveys show that they're actually 72% of our audience now is based in Canada. What do you call it?
Frightful.
Canada? Is that?
Yeah, that's accurate.
Yeah, Canada.
That's the one.
That sounds better.
Yeah, petition to change it.
Yeah, petition to change it to Canada. Like,
What if we changed their name? Do you think they'd like that?
Yeah.
They probably fucking
They
love
probably
it.
love
Be like,
it.
oh, thanks.
Remember when we were almost Fredonia?
No.
Oh,
Like just the three of
no,
us?
like there was like a weird popular movement in the U.S. in the 1800s, like mid 1800s, to rename the United States to Fredonia because it was flashier.
I mean, it is stupid that our country
It
is
sounds
two
really
words.
cool.
Yeah,
I guess it's four words.
Fredonia?
Yeah, Fredonia,
Yeah.
because we love freedom.
Fredonia is like renaming Twitter X. It's just great.
Fredonia.
It's so cool. I love the simplicity.
It does sound
Yeah.
like we're Balkan
point.
people too now. Like we have
Yeah,
like a
yeah.
whole
Fredonia.
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 I love to live in Fredonia.
Welcome to Fredonia, home of
It's
hot
much
dog,
plenty here.
Fredonia.
home of baseball. Yeah.
I love much firework. I love much bratwurst. I love much big truck
Oh, yeah.
in Fredonia.
The Bud
You know,
Light
I
and
have been
the-
eating a lot of cabbage lately, like a freakish amount of cabbage.
So you're
Red or-
Is that
Irish.
because
Or-
of Fredonia?
Red or white or green.
Oh, purple all the way.
Yeah, purple cabbage is the way to go.
I'm gonna,
Ugh, I just like marinate it in vinegar and then I just eat it for dinner.
You just go to town.
I just
You
go to town on that
you
thing.
should try kapusta. That's a good classic Polish recipe. It's like
What's in it?
so you get like a pot, you cut up a red cabbage, you cut up an apple, and you boil it all in like vinegar for a long ass time, and like salt and pepper. But it's pretty like it's like sweet and savory. I think you'd really like it. It's pretty dank.
No.
What the fuck?
No.
That's exactly what
I
you
don't want sweet and savory. I just want savory.
Okay,
And
the
And
apple's
I want savory, spicy, and earthy. And sour. Dylan, thoughts?
Well, the apple helps with the
What
tart.
are your tastes?
yeah, I feel like if I'm eating cabbage at all, I'm eating the purple cabbage or the green, I guess. But like, if like, what's the point of if like white cabbage just feels like this can't possibly be like that good for me because it's white, like a cracker,
Yeah, it's like bleached out.
or a
Yeah.
cheese,
Yeah, it's like cauliflower. That's not doing anything.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So if I'm gonna eat a cabbage, like I assume the color is gonna be the vitamins. So I want the
Yeah.
dankest, colorful cabbage I can find. Because
Absolutely.
I'm not eating cabbage
probably
for pleasure.
scientifically
Let's
backed.
be real.
I am eating it for pleasure.
I'm eating exotic.
Is there any
grapes.
nutritional value in a cabbage?
Yeah,
It's so good.
Yeah, it's
definitely.
like
There's nutritional value.
fiber.
It's
Yeah,
so
it's a
delicious.
roughage.
It's roughage.
I will really fuck with like red cabbage in like rice vinegar with like a peanut sauce, some sesame seeds. Some,
Do you say
some
red
shaved
cabbage and I
carrots.
say purple cabbage? Is that the same
It's
thing?
the same thing. Yeah,
Okay.
those are synonymous.
I like when they're like glowing purple
Yeah,
because then it makes all my food purple and then it's like really fun.
it's like cabbage rice.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's good shit.
I've been making cabbage with tempeh
Mm-hmm.
and like treating it with like vinegar so it's sour and it's like so.
Yeah, she's a woman of dank experience. I like everything to be sweet and savory at the same time because my mom's from the South.
Dylan, I'm sorry. What caves?
We're talking about the death of a man.
We're talking about
a man is being held upside down.
So he got stuck upside down in a very narrow little spot. His brother was able to immediately leave the cave and get help. They nailed hooks into the walls and ran a rope through them to basically make a pulley to just like pull him out. They successfully managed to finally pull him out of the hole when one of the spikes that was holding the rope into the wall came out of the wall and the whole thing like fell off, like he fell right back in the hole.
Oh.
Just like in The Descent.
Mm-hmm. Shortly after that, he was pronounced dead. He had basically had a heart attack being upside down.
Oh my god.
Because the like he's like inverted and compressed. Like his blood is all in the wrong half of his body, you know?
Yeah, you don't want too much blood in your head. It's not good.
It's basically like it was so tight that you couldn't even get to him. So that's why they had to use this crazy like pulley thing just to try to like yank him out of the hole so they could, you know, at least get him to a place where he wouldn't just die from his position. Before they could like,
I read that there was like a call for especially skinny rescuers.
Yeah, the teenager. They sent like a 15-year-old boy in there to like check on him and stuff because they couldn't.
Those people were probably massively traumatized.
Oh, it was awful.
Oh my God.
I watched like a tiny little like mini thing about it, and it was like people were just like if that one hook hadn't slipped out of the wall and like that just like released the rope he was being held by. Like if that hadn't happened, he would have lived, and because of that,
those fucking putty walls.
I know, yeah.
God damn it.
Yeah.
It's really sad. It was determined that it was too dangerous to remove him from the cave. Like it was just that's how stuck he was. Like they couldn't even get his body out. So they used explosives to collapse the section of cave he was in, and then the Utah Land Trust decided to close the cave forever and sealed the entrance with concrete, which was controversial. The local caving community were like nuts about it and were angry, apparently.
Shut the fuck up. That's a grave now.
Yeah.
You gotta just leave it alone.
That's a grave now.
Wait, but what if that special putty was like the cure for cancer? What if there was something, you know, really special down there that could have been a sort of snake oil for the
Dude, that's something to think about. And
yeah, Sarah.
Yeah.
Do you think that's what the cavers had in mind when they were mad about them closing the cave?
Oh yeah, Utah has a fuck ton of caves.
Yeah, get a new cave.
cave.
It's all just caves and LDS people.
Yeah.
Oh.
Like I would get it.
Do you think they're down there?
The Mormons?
Yeah.
Are they in the cave?
I'm just saying.
No, Izzy, that's
Check your
Morlocks.
caves. There might be a Mormon in there.
Yeah, that's more. You're thinking of Morlocks.
That's Morlocks. Like
easily confused.
Just
my bad.
Just looking at this cave map, like I would get it if this was like if like Nebraska they blew up the only cave because there's no caves. There's like one cave there. If they, you know, I'd get that, but like Utah, like you know, you guys got like national parks and yeah, you got plenty of caves.
That's just par for the course.
There's
right?
a lot of ways to have good clean fun in Utah. They have soda drive-ups there.
Yeah,
you guys are gonna be fine.
Also, they had to do.
What's that?
What they had to do.
Like, yeah, go ahead.
Oh no,
it's not important.
No, you go.
Now we're being the
Dylan
distractors.
In Utah, they have drive-through soda stores. Because, you know, when you can't have caffeine, you get a little nutty with your syrups and your carbonated water.
Wait, is it a barn? You drive through the middle?
No, like a drive up. Yeah, just like a Starbucks drive-through.
They have those for beer in Colorado.
Oh yeah, brew through.
Yeah.
I am only
really
aware.
Fun.
Wait, like they give you a beer in your car?
Yeah, like you drive up and get alcohol in your car while you're
like
driving.
open.
I mean, I don't think you're supposed to drink it.
No,
while you drive.
No, like you can buy like a bottle or a 6 pack.
yeah,
drive-through liquor.
Yeah,
store.
we have that,
and I think they sell cigarettes.
We have those. There's a drive-through liquor
too.
store like across the street from me, basically.
I think maybe more places have that than don't, because I've definitely seen them in the South.
Yeah, I'm not sure.
But no, we do not have that in Indiana.
Yeah.
Yeah, maybe because we're so. What's the kind of Christian you don't like, Sarah?
Yeah, which one is it?
I love everyone.
Is it because we're Protestant?
Yeah, I mean, like, we only recently made it so you could buy alcohol on Sundays, which you didn't used to be able to do. Whatever. I'm in favor of a full prohibition again, so it's fine.
You are?
No.
No, your religion is like the
No.
drunkest religion.
It's true. No, Catholics are like famously way more likely to be alcoholics than Protestants, I think.
Yeah, I come from half of my family is a full alcoholic Catholic.
Yeah, there you go. No, I mean, I think alcohol in excess is obviously like a very bad thing. I don't think a full prohibition would work, even if it was a good idea to make everybody stop drinking.
But imagine how much fun we'd be having at the dunes again.
Yeah, it's true. Your family could like get back in the biz.
My other side of the family would be living it up.
That's right.
As bootleggers.
All your runners and bootleggers, yeah. No, I think, whatever. Like most things, it's best practiced in moderation.
Moderation?
Monterey.
Moderation?
It's best practice in Monterey.
Moderation.
Monterey.
Oh, in Monterey?
Yeah, in Monterey.
So I'm not victim blaming this guy because it's clearly not his fault and also awful. But I did read that one of the like rules of caving is that you're not ever supposed to go
Solo.
straight down.
Oh.
Like you're not ever supposed to
Yeah.
go head first down.
Yeah.
Which he probably just
He
didn't
did
know.
go head. He didn't like slip and then
No.
fall.
Did he go
He
head
thought-
first on purpose?
Yeah, he thought that he would just come out the other side.
Oh.
Because he thought it was the
No.
birth canal. He thought that's like how you do it. He was just in the wrong spot. And I think maybe that is how people did it in the part that he thought he was in. But yeah, that
Really?
people say you're always supposed to go feet first if it's down
Yeah.
to avoid this.
Oh,
very
I don't want to
thing.
go down.
I don't
Yeah,
want.
I
I
would
would
say just
never.
Go
don't.
straight across.
Don't.
I would
go down.
never.
Go down.
I would not go down.
Yeah.
Me neither.
Folks, he doesn't go down.
I remember when we went to one of the caves. What was it, Blue Springs, I think? The guide turned the lights off, and then he had a little pan flute, and he played it, and it really.
That's Mammoth Cave.
Oh, then I wasn't Mammoth Cave. Yeah, that pissed me off.
No, you didn't go to Blue Springs. That's the one with the boats.
Right. Okay. Mammoth Cave is the
did
one.
go to Mammoth Cave.
Yes, I remember.
I remember we washed rocks together, Dylan, outside.
We washed
Whoa.
rocks at
Why
Mammoth
was I-
like a
Cave.
thing-
Why was I not
There was,
made
like-
aware of this?
There was like a fake panning for gold thing where
Oh,
you
yeah.
could like
Oh yeah.
buy
I do remember
uncleaned
that.
rocks at the gift shop or whatever.
Was that Mammoth Cave?
And then outside we were all playing with them. I think it was Mammoth
There's
Cave.
no gold. There's no way there's gold in Kentucky. Come on.
No, I said
It's all limestone. What
I
are we
said it was
panning
fool's
for?
gold.
Bones.
They're tricking children.
Yeah. It's like this
Yeah.
is not the right. Like, why would there be
With the
gold?
pro-American rhetoric of the gold rush.
Right.
We did go to a
Right.
third cave, and I don't remember what it was.
Why did we go to so many caves?
Because we're doing like a unit on caves.
But like we didn't. Every time we did it, we didn't go to like everything there. We did a unit on.
Motherfucker, yes, we did. Do you remember when we did the unit on like where stuff comes from and where it goes? It was all about like wastewater. We went to like the sewage treatment plant. We went to the landfill. We went to
Yeah,
the water
well,
treatment
okay,
plant.
yeah,
And
those-
famously, they took us down into the canals. They opened up a manhole cover.
Yeah,
and
we
let us
did.
crawl down under the street. It was awesome.
Yeah, we did just get in this go in the sewer once. I guess
That was
that's
like
true.
my favorite memory of the third grade. We went on an unbelievably high. We went to a quarry. There's that picture of all of us in front of the tire, the like huge tire on the giant like mega dump truck that they have at the quarry.
Oh yeah.
Oh, we should go back.
We should go back. Do you think they'd let us just come?
We should go back with your son sometime.
Yeah. If you have a baby with you, people will let you do a lot of stuff.
That's cool.
Yeah, they're like, "Aw."
Aww.
That's why
And he is particularly cute.
he'll be like, truck, and then they'll be like, oh, we have to let him.
Aww. Truck.
Oh, we'll let him like run the derrick. He won't kill anyone. It'll be fine. I'm gonna raise my son to be a cutter.
No, a stoner.
A stoner, yeah, stony.
That's the real one.
Yeah.
right?
Yeah,
stoner.
that's the real one.
A stoner and a
Yeah,
cutter.
a limestone man,
A limestone.
an oolitic boy.
I have bad news for you about the limestone industry.
Uh-oh.
Oh no.
It's
What?
well, it's
No
just
way.
like, there's not a lot of jobs doing that anymore. They don't build very much stuff with limestone anymore.
They sometimes do.
It's pretty rare now.
Sometimes you got to make a big building.
It's really expensive.
Yeah, well, and everyone's
But it's so
fucking cheap
beautiful.
now.
That's why all those quarries closed. Cause,
Yeah, it's very sad.
That,
Because people are fucking cheap and they make shit out of fucking concrete.
that's right.
Is that sad? Should we be doing that much excavating?
Yeah,
Really?
yeah. It's
Don't
just
we have
it's
enough of
rocks.
everything?
I mean, do we know what lies beneath, And do we
that's
do we
true.
want to what if we wake
Mormons.
something up? Right?
Mormons.
Mormons.
What if we wake the Mormons down
We
there?
woke up
The Mormons are not down there. They're in Utah.
Sorry, Morlocks,
That's
Morlocks.
Morlocks. that are
All
down
I'm
there.
saying is that if you're gonna build something, which sure, maybe that isn't something you should do to begin with, but if you're gonna build it, shouldn't you build it to 1, last, and 2, be beautiful? Instead of a hideous 4/1 in the gentrification architecture color of weird green.
I don't know. I don't know. I mean, if it makes sense and it serves a utility and it's like a reasonable structure, I don't think it needs to be beautiful. I don't know.
I think everything should be beautiful.
No.
Things can have utility and still be beautiful. Like brick buildings are, more utilitarian than something with a limestone facade, but they can still be very beautiful.
That's true.
Yeah.
But maybe do we just consider them beautiful now because in retrospect, because that was like a utilitarian thing in the past.
Yeah.
And now it's
Did people
considered
back
beautiful.
then look at that and go like, oh, that's shitty? Yeah, I don't know, but can
Probably.
you really imagine people 50 years from now looking at the building downtown that has like an orange theory in the bottom and then the top is luxury apartments? I mean, first of all, it won't even last that long. But even if it did, I don't think people are going to look at it and be like, oh man, the days gone by where people really put effort and consideration to how things looked,
I mean, I think people are super into those retro 90s and 80s shitty malls. People
Yeah,
are
that's
super into
true.
that aesthetic. I wonder if Generation Delta or whatever is gonna love I don't know, wow, there was
5/1s.
wow, this used to be a
Yeah,
Panda
I think they
Express
will.
underneath a condo
maybe.
building.
I think there will be that sort of nostalgia for that sort of mass production.
Yeah.
Yeah, probably so. It's hard to imagine when the colors are so ugly and you go into those buildings and you slam a door
Right.
and you can hear the wall shake.
Well, when we go back to nature, because the pendulum's swinging back, I think that our nature children are going to be like, oh, I wish I could have lived in a time when I could have gone to the mall.
Yeah.
The same way that when I was a teenager, I was like, I wish I had lived in New York in the 70s. And it's like, no, you don't.
No. It stank. It was stinky. You wouldn't have liked it. It was stinky.
I've seen Warriors. It looks bad there. That doesn't look fun.
Yeah.
In New York?
Yeah, I've seen Warriors. Is that what? That's New York, right?
Yeah.
I don't know anything about
Have you
Warriors.
never seen The Warriors?
I don't think so.
That movie is so fucking sick. You've never seen The Warriors?
Is it just where a bunch of kid gangs fight?
No.
Yeah.
Listen.
Kinda, yeah.
Sort of. Okay, but you would love it because it's campy and all the different gangs have basically different little costumes that they wear. It's one of those movies that's like One Crazy Night in New York, which is a genre that I do really enjoy.
Oh, I've seen this.
There's this gang summit where all of the gangs in New York meet, and there's kind of this charismatic leader who's like, hey, listen, we have to stop fighting with each other. And he looks like he's going to bring everyone together, and then he gets assassinated. And then all the gangs immediately turn on each other and start fighting. And the gang that you follow throughout the movie
Just like Malcolm X.
get blamed for assassinating him, even though they did not do it. And so all these other gangs are after them. And some of them are clowns, and some of them are girls. It's great.
Some of them are clowns and some of them are girls. That's true.
We should watch this for a movie club.
Definitely.
On the list.
Some of them are on roller skates, Izzy.
Okay. Why would I care about a roller skate?
Because it's a gang on roller skates, and they're chasing them in the subway. It's great. And the whole movie's at
And they're
night.
skateboarders?
And there's a very brash young woman.
It's aesthetically cool, but for me that holds up for 15, 20 minutes of cool vintage aesthetic, and then I'm like, yeah, but it's
Yeah.
old and everybody talks in a weird old voice.
Nobody, it's the late 70s.
We're like,
Everyone
come
talks
on,
fucking
man,
normal.
what's going
Okay,
on?
they do.
Wow.
Okay, they do talk like that. It's
And I'm
true
like,
that
I
they do talk
can't,
like that.
I can't hear that. I can't hear that affect. I can't do it. I gotta talk about caves because I turned my
Please
air
do.
conditioner off for this. It is 94 degrees.
Hot
And
talk.
I
Hot
am
talk.
ready to die. I am The heat will evaporate me. The summer of 1979, two kids, I believe a brother and a sister, were messing around in a cave in Idaho, Du Bois, I don't know, Idaho. They were looking for arrowheads, which I guess you could find in caves. I don't know. They stumbled upon a weird thing wrapped in burlap and went to check it out, and it was a torso.
No.
Forensic investigators went to check it out. They thought he had been dead between 6 months and 5 years, so he became like a missing person murder investigation. It was, at the time, not solved. And then in 1991, a girl in the same cave found a hand.
Oh.
And then at that point, people started looking in the cave. I don't know why that didn't happen in 1979. It's like, hey, we found a torso in this cave. Did, like, nobody look around in the cave? Like,
well, you know, like cops in the 70s.
Yeah.
Couldn't get their shit together to do a single fucking thing.
They were like, oh, this is a murder victim. Okay. In 91, a girl found a hand, similar deal. And then finally, the police show up to the cave and start digging around and looking in there. They find both legs and an arm in the cave. They're able to determine that it's a man of European descent, around 40 years old at the time of death, but they don't have the head.
What are you going to do?
Right? What are you going to do? What are you going to do?
So what do they do?
Nothing until DNA more. So up until like the 2020s, it was believed that this was just like a murder victim. Through forensic genealogy, they kept finding living first cousins 3 times removed, which I guess that's like generations. And then that's when they realized that this guy was like much older than his living relatives, like the way that I don't understand genetics. But in 1916, an outlaw kind of career criminal named Joseph Henry Lovelace.
Cool.
Yeah.
Cool name for a criminal.
Yeah, very
Joseph
cool
Henry Lovelace, who did all kinds of outlaw shit in the Wild West, went by various aliases, none of them as cool as his real name. I like that he's named Joseph Henry Lovelace, and his aliases were Charles Smith, Walter Currens, and Walter Cairns.
Yeah, well, you don't want anything memorable.
Right, yeah. It's like,
Yeah.
man, my real name is super cool, so I gotta go boring with it.
Yeah.
But anyway, he murdered his wife with an axe.
Oh, come on.
In 1916.
No, don't do
He
that.
Killed her with an axe.
Come
He
on.
was arrested and imprisoned under the name Walter Cairns. He was like his identity was wrong in the court system and everything.
Because you could just say anything back then. You just say whatever.
His son, I guess, was like interviewed about it and basically was just like, oh yeah, like my dad didn't do it. It was some guy named Walter Cairns. It's like his dad definitely did it, and that was his dad.
Yeah.
He was like a bootlegger, and he was known for prison escapes. He had escaped from prison numerous times in the past. So he escapes only a few weeks after he's imprisoned. On the wanted poster after his last prison escape, it lists the clothes he was wearing: a light-colored hat, a brown coat, a red-maroon sweater, and blue overalls over black trousers. He was never seen again. They identified this guy through forensic genealogy in 2020 and matched him to like this family. The torso was wearing a red maroon sweater, and the legs, like he was wearing all of the same clothes.
Whoa.
They found a maroon sweater and black trousers with the body. We can only speculate what actually happened because he's dismembered and wrapped in burlap.
Yeah.
And the head has never been found. It looks like his wife's family, who were also, cool cowboy people at that time in Idaho, probably took revenge after he escaped from prison and killed him and chopped him up and put him in this cave.
They really had to be on high alert to like get him before he even changed clothes.
I know. Yeah, they got him immediately.
They were like waiting outside the jail, being like, "This motherfucker's gonna escape any minute now."
I wonder. I mean, or like maybe he like he couldn't have even got home probably, right, to like change clothes, or I don't know. Yeah.
Yeah, maybe he like showed up thinking that they would shelter him or something, and they were like, "No."
Or like it's maybe, or it's possible like I don't know how far away his house was from the prison, so he might have been like traveling back when they got him or whatever. But
yeah,
Right, they picked him up.
yeah,
along
but they
the
were
way.
looking for him. Probably, we don't know, but yeah, allegedly.
Yeah, well, don't kill your wife.
And this is a classic Mormon story. They were able to find him because his grandfather was a Mormon pioneer and had 4 wives. Mm-hmm. And one of the reasons that it was possible to identify him was because he had so many living relatives in Utah.
Hey, Mormons. I'm not talking about the polygamy thing. I wouldn't do that to you, but like, what's up with you guys in the caves? What's going on?
I know. There's knowledge of these caves.
Yeah.
I guess this is 2 Mormons in caves so far in this episode. But I want to be clear, like, they're not in the caves. Like, they're not living down there.
Maybe Izzy was right.
That's Morlocks.
No, but what if it's not?
If they're not living down there, I think that they have some knowledge that they are using to evade governance.
Yeah, maybe they have ancestral knowledge.
Yeah.
Maybe they have like maybe they're like born with a map of the caves in their mind.
I know, yeah. Very that.
Hey, if you're Mormon, like ancestrally, you know, or whatever, and you know a lot about caves, call in. Tell us what's going on with you guys.
Yeah, did your mom read you a bedtime story and it was like our bedtime story, but it was just about like caves?
Did your like wizened ancient great grandmother like put her hand on your forehead and all of a sudden you gained the knowledge? Just call in.
Oh, yeah.
706-45.
Also, during the course of this body in the cave mystery, when they thought that it might have been him, but they weren't sure yet, they dug up his grave and there was nothing in it. Like he had a grave in like a local cemetery and it was empty. And then
they were
and then they found his grandson, and they were like, "Oh, cool, we found his grandson." Who was 87.
Whoa.
Yeah. At the time.
Do you think he was happy? They were like, "Hey, we found your relative," and
probably not. You know, probably not. Yeah, I would imagine. Like, you know, I don't think 87-year-olds probably don't want that news. You know?
Yeah, you're trying to finish things up.
They're not like cool, you know, like young people who are like, oh, that's like so ironic that my grandpa was a murderer. That's like that's so ironic. You know?
Yeah.
But
yeah,
that's,
they're like, I can't afford laundry detergent.
Moral of the story is
like, the housing prices.
You don't know how old the stuff in the caves is because it preserves stuff down there.
That's
you
true.
Don't
yeah, I was wondering, like,
know.
Do you get moldy down there?
There's a mummification.
It mummifies you.
Mummified.
And then the police go, I don't know if this is like somebody died 6 months ago or somebody died, 70 years ago, 80, 90, 100 years ago. We don't know. They mummified him.
Because he's a popsicle. He's a moldy guy.
Yeah.
No, he's not moldy because he's desiccated. That means there's no water.
But it's so wet down there. How could that be?
Well, I don't know how deep in. I don't know if he's desiccated, I guess. I just made that up. I don't know. They found a body. Oh, also,
well, if he's mummified, then he's dead.
Nobody said he was mummified, really.
Nobody said he was mummified. Also,
I mean,
I'd like to
Dylan
just kind of drop this photo in the chat so we can all kind of appreciate what this man probably looked like.
Here's one for the dossier, folks.
It's deeply crazy.
He was born a ghost.
Yes, he looks like a horror movie ghost. So I guess it's a composite image created with other image. I don't know.
No.
I could do a better job than this.
Composite image of Henry Lovelace created with images of family members. So maybe they had pictures of him, but I don't know.
I mean,
they probably used
just like
his third cousins and overlaid it and then put him in like those kinds of.
Why'd they have to give him?
Should we yassify
those
him?
Silvery eyes? Yeah, we should.
Yeah, they made him a ghost, basically,
with a really scary mouth that does not have any lips. He really could use some fillers.
No, very wide, very flat.
And one side is kind of like this, like he's chewing on something.
Yeah. I mean, he looks like a guy who might kill. How did he kill his wife?
Axe.
Yeah. He's got that look.
Axe. Yeah.
And a fucking turtleneck. Like, what the hell? Perverted.
His dad's from Indiana. That's cool.
Oh.
Yeah.
Great.
Congratulations.
Yeah. There's always a Hoosier. What's that Kurt Vonnegut quote? Anywhere you go, there's a Hoosier doing something important or whatever.
That's right.
that the moral of the story is you don't know how old the stuff in the cave is. Be careful. Don't go in there. Don't look too close at the burlap unless you want to find a body.
I kind of
Also,
do.
yeah, Sarah does. I don't.
I kind of do.
I really
I don't think I would like it,
super
but
don't want to.
I think it'd be better if I did it than for a lot of
Yeah.
people.
What do you mean?
I'll take it on, is what I'm saying, you know?
I think she
I'd be
would
okay.
have the emotional capacity to sort of deal with
Yeah,
that.
I'd be okay.
Whereas I'd just start
Yeah.
crying.
But I'm not going to go in the cave, so I'm not going to find any in there. That's for sure.
You're gonna go in there.
I'm not going to go in there.
You're going in.
No.
Yeah. Well, how are you gonna find the body then if you won't go in there?
Oh, it's not the only place they've got bodies, Dylan. I tell you what, one of these days, I'm going to look down in the canal, and there's going to be a dead body in there. I know it. I just have a feeling.
No, there's not.
Yeah.
It's a premonition.
Yeah.
thing.
I've always been like, I'm going to find a dead body one day.
That's
have a feeling.
crazy.
I just have a feeling. Yeah.
No,
I'm not saying I
why?
want to. I just have a feeling.
You don't want to.
I
That's
didn't say I
bad.
wanted to. I said I think I might.
She just
You
knows.
want to.
It's instinctual to her the way that the caves are to the Mormons.
Yeah. Right.
That's the moral.
I don't even have a dog to walk, so
Sorry.
I'm not sure. Usually if you
And
find a dead body, it's because you're walking your dog.
The only thing the Mormons and the Morlocks have in common is
caves.
that the there's caves a little bit, but is that society made them this way.
Whoa.
I was gonna do a quick one on the Kentucky Cave Wars.
Please do.
Not really a literal war.
Spiritual war.
A spiritual war.
A townie battle.
It was a townie battle. So, Mammoth Cave, we've touched on a little bit. It's very big. Oh my gosh, I'm so hot.
Hot talk.
I'm like, my life stops in May and resumes in like mid-September. Like, I don't know what happens. It's just like survive. It's just like red blinking lights. It's just like survive until the temperature goes down. Mammoth Cave, it's huge.
Is it not famously, as we just discussed, the world's largest?
It is not the world's largest cave. It's the longest cave system in the world.
Oh, what's the fucking difference?
Long has got to be like overall miles, and then there's depth, and then there's width.
I want to know like cubic meters or whatever that is. Like, what has the biggest square footage?
Okay, by volume, it is the Hang Son Doong in Vietnam.
That's the biggest by volume.
By volume, yes. But anyway, Mammoth Cave is the longest.
Okay.
It was used by indigenous peoples for thousands and thousands of years. And like also, quick side note, and something that is interesting is that like they found like intentional burial of Native Americans. They've also found mining of like minerals from the walls and
Wow.
like cane torches that they were using. Inside the cave. In fact, there's so many native artifacts in the cave that there's entire sections that you are not like allowed to explore, or no one is allowed to explore unless you're like an anthropologist or you're specifically trained in like
Wow. I had no
studying
idea.
archaeology, native archaeology. But what is interesting and probably just like whatever, but also weird, is that they haven't found anything newer than 200 BC in the cave from like natives. So they're all from like this like archaic period. We don't know that
Why'd
much about,
everybody leave?
from thousands of years ago, but there's no
Whoa.
modern, like the remains and stuff in the cave are from 9000 BC to 200 BC that they can find. And nothing newer than that,
Whoa.
which is super weird.
Why'd they take off? What did they know? What did they know?
Or what came out of there? What came out and they had to seal
Yeah.
shut?
Western people discover it in the 1700s, and it's like a private property. The man who owns the cave realizes that it might be pretty big, and that it was a saltpeter mine, like a small saltpeter mine. Saltpeter is used to make gunpowder.
Give me that saltpeter.
Mm-hmm. And that was a big deal during the War of 1812. It like really expanded. And then after the prices fell and they stopped mining, and it became a minor tourist attraction because they found a Native American mummy, basically.
Whoa.
The guy who owned the cave didn't want to deal with it and just started using a slave as a tour guide, Stephen Bishop. And Stephen Bishop actually is the reason we know a lot about the cave. He became kind of a self-taught geologist and was the first person to like map out the basic structure of the cave, as well as the first person to cross the bottomless pit, which was this obstacle where in the end, like past the entrance of Mammoth Cave, there's an enormous, what appears to be a bottomless pit that basically blocks off the entire rest of the cave. So nobody really knew how crazy big this cave was until Stephen Bishop crossed the pit and basically did a ton of work like mapping out the cave.
Oh, I've seen this before. Yeah, we walked across this because now they have a walkway.
Yeah, the guy who owned the cave was like a piece of shit, and all credit to Stephen who did all the work. As well as he was also the tour guide.
Nice.
And wrote a bunch of made maps and wrote a bunch of stuff about the cave. It became a tourist attraction. It started off as like not a big deal, as kind of a local thing, and it slowly became a bigger and bigger and bigger deal as people realized how big the cave was, and as people started being able to travel in that part of the country more easily. They actually built a stagecoach line up to it, kind of in a time before people had cars. So it was like a thing you could do. You could, like, if you went to Louisville, you could take a stagecoach up to the Mammoth Cave. This triggered what we call the Kentucky Cave Wars, which is where all the locals wanted to get in on the action. And kind of what you were saying earlier in the episode about how Mammoth Cave is just big. It's not flashy. People realized that immediately and were trying, and there were tons of caves all around. It's cave country. They're everywhere. And so there were these like caves that were smaller, like much smaller, but had like flashier stalactites and stalagmites or whatever, or crystals. There's one called Crystal Cave that had like crystals growing in it. It started off with roadside signs, and then once we got into like highway car culture, it became a big deal to have your own cave if you lived out near Mammoth Cave in central southern Kentucky. They would have fake booths all around the highways. Like cave owners would pay men to stand in a little booth that said official cave information and basically like pretend to be some kind of a government cave ambassador to try to direct tourists. Like, as tourists were on their way to Mammoth Cave, and they would flag you down and be like, "Oh yeah, what you want to do is take a left up here. It's that's the best cave in the area."
Can you imagine getting tricked into seeing like a tiny little cave and being like, I don't think this is
This is Mammoth Cave. Yeah.
I saw Mammoth Cave, it sucked.
People just got way into it. But yeah, no, and it was successful enough that it was like kind of the local economy. What was just Kentucky landowners trying to trick you into going to some weird shitty little cave in their yard.
Good. I think it's good to trick tourists.
They realized that the money was in Mammoth Cave. That's where the money was. So everybody was constantly exploring all these caves on their property to try to find a back entrance to Mammoth Cave.
Oh, because it's all one big cave.
It's all one big cave. So they figured there's the natural entrance, which at the time was the only entrance. Everybody was doing increasingly dangerous and crazy shit looking for the back passage into Mammoth Cave. A known cave explorer named Floyd Collins, who owned Floyd Collins' Great Crystal Cave. His cave was far away from the highway. It was a failing tourist attraction. He attempted to find a better cave, basically, or potentially a passageway into Mammoth on his neighbor's property. The tiny cave called Sand Cave had a really narrow passageway. They tried to enlarge the passage and rocks that he was trying to move out of the way so tourists could get into his new tourist attraction collapsed on him and pinned him there for days.
I had to Google what this looked like because I was trying to read about how it was that he was stuck, but also people could bring him food.
Yeah.
And there are some helpful images. You have to imagine how do I describe? It's almost like a Z shape. Like if there's a tiny tunnel shaped like a Z, and Floyd Collins is at the bottom of the Z, but his head is at the part where the Z is in the middle. Does that make any sense at all?
Why is he laying down?
Because he was like shimmying out.
Well,
I
yeah, he
think.
can't stand up.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh,
But they were trying to
I
like
hate
basically
this.
like widen this to be a thing tourists could walk into.
Oh, okay. And they were throwing food into his mouth.
Yeah. He was stuck in there for 14 days.
Crazy.
Oh my god.
This was 1925. And apparently this was one of the first big like national news stories because radio, like national news radio is brand new. And this was one of the first like big national stories that everybody was like following along on radio. He died after 14 days.
That's so long to be
in
stuck
that cave, which that just sucks so bad. Like that's just, that
no one could get him out.
Nobody could get him. Yeah, they were
because his foot was trapped.
Yeah, he was trapped under a boulder. The way they got him out was a mining crew dug a 55-foot shaft straight down. Like they actually like tunneled in from the top, the, rather than because they couldn't get him out the other way. But that took 2 weeks, and when they got there, he was dead.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah.
And wasn't it also that the main way they were like giving him food and stuff collapsed because of all the people around or something?
Something like that. Yeah, I think that they were able to get him food initially, and then they weren't. They also tried to lift him with a rope. It didn't work. They tried to dig him out. It didn't work. It was like a media circus, too. There were hundreds of people there. And Floyd was an experienced cave explorer. He was kind of like a local like go-to guy for just like exploring different caves. He had a cave on his property. He had been exploring caves his entire life. That was like his vocation.
Right.
His tombstone actually says, world's greatest cave explorer ever known.
Hell yeah.
Increasingly a dangerous thing to do. People like almost died a bunch trying to get in on the cave action. A man named George Morrison finally basically just was able to do it. He illegally gained access to Mammoth Cave. He just bought the right piece of land, figured out where there might be a passage, and just exploded the ground until he opened up a back entrance, now called he named it the new entrance to Mammoth Cave.
Nice. I mean, that does seem safer than trying to shimmy through something that's way too skinny.
Yeah, this really was like a huge rivalry because there were the folks who owned the natural entrance, the main entrance, and then there was George Morrison. There was a big court battle over it. Each side had increasingly official cappers, they called them, men on the highways with their little buildings, their little like fake state park buildings, like trying to trick you into going to each different one. Mammoth Cave National Park was created in 1941 and slowly like acquired all of the land around Mammoth Cave until they were able to get both entrances, and then everybody chilled out. That makes sense. But yeah, back when it was like a private thing, it was like the only show in town. It was big money.
There's some great names on this map that Stephen Bishop made.
Yeah.
Including Giant's Coffin, Gothic Gallery, The Sick Room, Dismal Hollow, Haunted Chamber, and of course the River Styx in Purgatory.
Does that one have Fat Man's Misery on it?
Fat Man's Misery.
That might be later. I saw one that had
I was just reading
Fat Man's
all of
Misery.
these names from the map from 1845 that he made.
Nice.
Yeah, Stephen Bishop is awesome.
I saw some stuff about Floyd Collins. There was like caper shit involving his body.
Oh God, what?
First, they like displayed his body in Mammoth Cave, I think in a coffin. And then his family had him buried on their property, but then somebody bought their property and put his body back in the cave with like a headstone and the coffin just out. And then finally, I think his family was like, give us back the body. And they buried him
ridiculous.
For good.
Yeah. That's insane.
But it used to just be like a normal tourist attraction that you just have a dead body and people could go look. Like my mom always tells a story about in Knoxville, there's a store called Big Don's Elegant Junk. And when she was a kid, they had a dead body with like a glass top coffin that you could just go look at.
What the? Like that was like a thing, wasn't it?
It was totally a thing. Yeah. And I don't think it was like a skeleton. I think it was like kind of a mummy.
And like it not even that long ago, right? Like Disney used to have the real bones.
Yeah. I mean, this was the 70s that she was talking about.
It's crazy.
I mean, it's a holdover from a bygone era, but for sure, yeah. Just like corpses as attractions definitely used to be, like roadside attractions used to be a thing.
It's just funny to me to think about like the biggest, the longest cave in the world, part of our national park system, like as like a really tacky tourist attraction where like various con men are just trying to like lure you into some like weird bullshit, like highway roadside attraction shit. Like that's exactly what it was. It's crazy.
And everyone just goes to party outside of a cave rescue of like a man whose foot is trapped and he's like, slowly dying. People are just like eating popcorn and shit.
Horrifying.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But like life was more brutal back then. Maybe people were like, yeah, let's go party around the guy who's dying.
But apparently the increased interest from the Floyd Collins becoming his death being a national media story was a big reason why the national park was formed. It was kind of became a national. Nobody would have cared about a cave in Kentucky, probably. Except as a minor
Floyd.
Tourist attraction. So Floyd's sacrifice basically triggered the movement to eminent domain the cave and make it a national park.
A cave martyr.
A cave martyr, exactly.
Hey, Dylan, do you want me to talk about the IU one so you can drink some ice water?
I'm so sorry. I've been talking so much. I never want to talk again.
No, you're doing amazing.
You're doing great.
No, I don't.
I'm not asking because you're doing a bad job. I'm asking because I want to
do
genuinely
it
help
anymore.
you.
It's so hot. It's so hot.
Hot talk. How should the hot talk theme go? Ooh, I like that, Izzy. Hot talk. Hot talk.
You're listening to Hot Talk on Bimbo Summit Podcast.
I hope you're happy.
I'm sweating.
I hope you're having a nice time.
It's dripping down my back.
Oh, okay.
I have to go.
Put a little
for
stank
1
on that
second.
one.
Oh, so sweaty. Where are you going?
I have to. 1 second. I have to plug my computer in.
Oh, I have to pee.
One moment, please.
I'm going to get some water.
All right. Dylan, you should also get some water.
Okay.
I love your glasses.
I got water. It's warm now.
You're listening to Hot Talk.
Well, Hot Talk. Sweaty.
This is Hot Talk on Bimbo Summit Radio.
Oh, give me some ice.
Hot Talk all the time. We're sweating here at Hot Talk.
I have to put my feet in a bucket. we got to get through this fast because Jordan's leaving at 3 p.m. and I have to give him.
Yeah, I hope he fucking leaves.
I hope he fucking leaves.
He needs to go to Chicago to watch some sports.
What?
Soccer.
I hate sports.
Soccer.
You're going to Chicago to watch soccer?
I'm not. I wouldn't fucking do that. He and his brother and his dad are doing it. They're going to watch a British soccer club. Crystal Palace, baby.
Ew.
Okay, listen. So.
That's so gross.
Take yourself back to 2017. Bloomington, Indiana. Heard of it? Of course you have. Were we all there in 2017? I was there.
I was there.
We were in high school, right?
2017.
Yeah, 2017 we were in high school.
Or was that 2007?
That was 2007.
Oh, I wasn't there.
2017. Okay.
What's my age again?
Izzy wasn't there.
Yeah, I was. That was my last year.
Izzy was there, so she did it. Dylan was there. He might have helped.
Yeah.
I was there, but I was busy. Don't ask me again. Okay.
I don't remember ever hearing about this. And
I don't
find that
either.
shocking. Because I had like a public face. I was a bartender. Like,
Yeah.
how did I not? You know what I mean? Like, all I did was like just make small talk with weird local people. How did
And
I
this was
not
a
hear about this?
national news story.
Yeah.
It was an
crazy.
international news story. I saw shit in the BBC and the Guardian about this. And like
think
the fucking Irish Times.
I think Indiana University covered this up.
Yeah.
I think they put the
definitely.
kibosh on this story.
Yeah, for sure. Okay, so the IU Caving Club. That's a IU club that's been around since like the 40s or the 50s. Long-standing, good public reputation. Now, the IU clubs are like not exactly completely university sanctioned, but they do have like a university sponsor. This club sure did. So that's worth knowing. But mostly it's like students,
Yeah.
semi-sanctioned. They go out, they do their little spelunking field trips. 2017, September, very beginning of the school year, so people probably don't know each other yet. A young student, also a townie, whose name is Lucas. Now, let me spell this for you, and you tell me how you think you'd pronounce it. C-A-V-A-R.
Kavar.
Caver.
I don't know.
Caver.
I think he's from like some Balkan country originally, so I would guess it's probably Kavar, but it sure looks like Caver.
It says he's a townie, man. It doesn't say any kind
Yeah,
of...
but his mom is Polish. I know because I looked into this. His dad is, I can't remember, maybe Serbian or Croatian. I'm sorry if that's wrong. Lucas, don't listen to this. Somewhere Balkan. Anyway, his parents are professors, just a normal kind of normal guy. He joins the IU Caving Club, and they go on a little expedition, probably the first one of the year. Now, the IU Caving Club, because of their longstanding reputation for quality and good practices, of course, they have a buddy system. Of course, they know everybody's names and they do a head count when they get into and out of the cave, right?
Yeah.
So
right.
nothing is going to go wrong. This cave, don't worry. This is a cave that's locked. One of the members of the caving club has a key because it's on private land. I saw a lot of comments on this or why would a cave be locked? Why would they lock a cave? You people don't know anything about how kids in southern Indiana party if you don't know why they need to lock a cave.
Townies are going to be partying inside that cave.
The caves,
there's going to be graffiti.
More
There's
locks.
going to be smashed bottles.
Yes.
There's going to be
Condoms.
dead townies. I mean,
dead townies.
Well, that they lock
Knife
the caves
fights.
because they're dangerous. They lock the caves because they're not because they're dangerous necessarily to a caver, but because if you are if you're a drunk teenager having a good time at a bonfire in southern Indiana and you wander into that cave and you're like, this is going to be awesome. Let's crawl through this little skinny pit. You might die.
Yeah, big
that's
time.
Why they lock. And they still find they found a dead guy in a cave really near me who just didn't. Anyway, yeah, they find dead people in caves that aren't locked a lot.
Shit happens.
Shit happens. You got to lock the cave if there's going to be townies around.
Yeah. So they go to Sullivan Cave, which is 20 miles south of town. An area with a fucking shitload of caves.
Yeah.
And there's 12 people on the expedition, including some they're called group leaders, mostly just kids who have just joined the caving club, some long-standing caving club members, just a sort of typical array. Lucas has with him a plastic bag, some empty Cliff Bars. I don't know if he ate them in the cave, if he ate them on the trip there, or what. He has two empty plastic water bottles. And he's got his phone. And that's all he's got. So in the course of exploring this cave, it seems like what happened is that there were 3 groups, just 3 little sets of people, going one after the other. And his group, he was in the middle group. They were going through this part that's you have to hunch over to get through it. And he's really tall. So he's I'm just going to go through this really fast and I'm going to join the group that's ahead of me. And I think he did inform the group who was behind that that's what he was doing. But anyway, he thinks he's going to meet up with the group at the front. He takes a wrong turn. He says, he doesn't know it's a wrong turn. He just thinks, I'm kind of lost, but they're going to find me. I need to just stay here and somebody will get me. This does not happen. He waits for half an hour. I think the group he was in didn't know that he wasn't with the first group. The first group didn't know he was with the second group. However, there is supposed to be a fucking buddy system.
Yeah. Especially this is this was advertised as a beginner trip.
Yeah.
This was their first thing of the year, I guess, or whatever. Or one of the first things of the year. And it was his first trip with them. And he's a freshman.
If you had any experience doing this kind of thing, leading these trips at all, you'd be well, we really got to keep an eye on the freshmen because they don't know anybody yet. They don't know what the fuck they're doing.
it wasn't like VIPs senior. It wasn't like, you know,
Yeah.
after 4 years of being in caving club, I know all these guys who are here. It's like, no, you're like, hey, beginners, welcome to beginner caving.
Yeah.
Like,
Number one job is keeping track of people
you think
in
you do a head
cave.
count, right? Like after and before.
They said they did.
They said they did. One other student who was there said that she remembers hearing a head count, but they only accounted for 11. And there were 12. So, like, and they thought that was correct. So I don't know, did the person doing the head count, like, forget to count themselves at the beginning, you know? They were like, yep, 11. I don't know what happened. A series of fuck-ups that are inexcusable.
Yeah, it's insane.
Anyway, Lucas is in the cave. Eventually, he is like, okay, they don't seem to be coming to get me. He follows graffiti arrows that go back. He makes his way to the exit of the cave. He does find it. But by then, it has already been padlocked shut behind him.
Oh, no.
And they have fucking left. They've been like gone for half an hour. One of the trip leaders was in a hurry to get to her work shift. I wonder if they were maybe all taking, or there were a couple separate cars, which is like
There
another
were two
way.
separate cars.
Yeah.
There were two separate cars, and there were different cars coming there and then going back.
Oh,
Like
interesting.
different people.
Okay, so a lot of chances for confusion. Nevertheless, of complete institutional failure. This is what happens when you let 22-year-olds be in charge of 18-year-olds. You know? Nothing good. So he's like padlocked behind, you know, it's like a prison cell. Like he can see out, he can hear cars on the highway. He is totally like touching the outside world. His phone doesn't have reception. He has no food or water. And he is there for 3 fucking days.
3 days.
3 days. Licking the cave walls for moisture. He gets bit by a snake. He's like worried that the bats that are flying in at night are gonna give him rabies. He tries to go deeper into the cave to avoid the bats, but then it's like too cold. He's screaming at the cars, like thinking, I'm so close to the highway, someone is gonna hear me.
Yeah.
Eventually, back on campus, his friends and parents start to figure out, like, nobody has seen him. Where is he? Eventually, one of his friends gets in touch with the people in the caving club. Already, his parents have called the cops. The cops have been like, no, we talked to the caving club, and they said that they did a head count. So
Oh my
it's
God.
fine. Also, in his dorm room was like some dirty, like muddy boots and pants from a previous caving thing he had done. So they looked at that and they were like, well, he came back.
Oh.
You know, not knowing it was like not from this trip. Not great police work. And I'm sure because like the cave was in a different jurisdiction, they probably were just like too lazy to fuck with it.
Yeah.
I think it was campus police.
Yeah, who
Of
are like,
course.
you know, fake cops. Although
You
they
think
really
you could,
can
like,
pull you
call,
over.
Like, whatever, Greene County. Was it Greene County? I don't know. Whatever. You think you'd call,
Probably.
like, you know, whatever sheriff's department in the county it's in and be like, could you see if there's a guy trapped in a cave here?
For
Well,
sure.
I think that they trusted the school to do like basic due diligence.
Yeah, his parents were like IU employees, so maybe they were just like, yeah, hopefully they're handling it. Anyway, the trip leaders from this caving expedition eventually are like, I guess we should go out there and check. They do this. 2 of them, whose names I know.
You were stalking some people.
I spent some time. I had to, yeah, I mean, I could tell you about the process of how I found these people, but it's long and it involved a lot of like cross-referencing. And I didn't even need to find them because I was never going to like dox them on the podcast. I just wanted to know, like for my own, you know.
What are
like,
you going to do? Yeah.
who are the people who lock a 19-year-old in a cave for 3 days and at no point are like, there was another kid with us. Why, where the fuck is he?
It was dark.
It was dark.
You'd think like a head count wouldn't even, like, wouldn't you just have like a list?
A list of names with a check
checklist
mark.
of names, and then at the end be like, Susan, Mark, Jeff.
You get everyone assembled and you
Easy.
say, does everyone have their buddy?
Yeah.
Well, the buddy probably was like, yeah.
Yeah, the buddy. Didn't they do a buddy system? And the buddy was just like,
Yeah.
oh, yeah, we're good.
It's not clear to me how exactly that all played out. Something that's interesting to me is that the 2 people who went to the two group leaders who went to go find him, at no point in their drive, which is like half an hour, were they like, he might be in there. He could be dying. We should call the cops. We should immediately call emergency services.
Yeah.
No. They were like, we'll go there. I mean, once they got there. They
didn't expect to find him because they didn't bring him anything.
Right. Yeah. They didn't have like supply, like blankets to give him, for example. They
gave him like
they didn't call the cops. They just drove.
One of them ate.
3 days later,
drove
they just
there.
went, oh shit, and they found his backpack, right? That's how it.
I couldn't find anything about that.
Yeah, I don't know.
I don't think he had a backpack.
That like they found something in the van, like somebody looked in the van and there was like somebody's stuff in the van and they were like, whose stuff is this? In like the group chat, and then in the group chat, like everybody was like, not mine, and then that's when the caving people were like, oh shit.
I looked for that because I remember you telling me I couldn't find it anywhere, which it doesn't mean it's not true. It could just be that it might not have just gotten into the official record that I was relying on. There was an IDS story about this that gives quite a lot of details, but I had to really dig. This is how I finally found the names. I had to dig to find the unedited version of the IDS article that was submitted for a Hearst Journalism Awards and won. That had a lot more detail, like gave a ton of gave names and stuff like that. So yeah, spending a lot of time on that the other night. It was fun. I love the hunt. It's not really even about finding out the information. It's about hunting. If anyone ever needs that kind of shit done, just drop me a line.
She's a PI, guys.
Yeah.
Unlicensed
PI. That's me. One of the group leaders, and this was not the person who was responsible, I'm saying that from the top, was the older brother of somebody that we went to school with for like 12 years. And he famously, the one who was the cave group leader, tried to climb through the ceiling of North High School and fell down when he was stoned. Fell right down. And I thought, that's a good candidate for leaving somebody in the cave, but it's definitely not.
It's not him.
It's not him. No, not him. There's the most sinister possible explanation of why they didn't call the cops. It's like they thought they were going to find a body.
Yeah.
Maybe.
I mean, after 3 days.
Yeah. I think that's a reasonable assumption.
You would at least be scared that you might be finding a body.
Yeah.
Now,
like,
it could be that you think you're finding a body and you're like, oh, I am processing this slowly and I haven't called the cops yet. But it could also be because you're going to try to cover it up.
Like, why else would you not call the cops?
Because you would definitely be held responsible.
Yes.
If he had died, there's no way.
Locked him in there.
Bare minimum, the family like sues you, or maybe actual like criminal charges also. They locked him in there.
What, like, did anything happen to like the cave club was suspended from caving for like a year or whatever?
So I can't find any current record of them. Like they don't have a webpage anymore. Oh, and so I found their old webpage on the Wayback Machine. It was updated at the very beginning of September, like beginning of the school year. And then on September 20th, 3 days after they went on the trip, so the day they found him, it was updated again, and all of the personnel was taken off of the webpage.
Dude.
Yeah.
They were gonna fucking take his body deeper into that cave or something.
Listen, it could be like a fluke on the Wayback Machine. Archiving is not perfect.
They were covering stuff up.
But yeah, it went from having a full list of the names of all of like the president, the treasurer, the supervising staff member, all of the group leaders, of which there were like a lot, to no anybody listed by name on the website. The 20th, the day they found him. Yeah.
No.
So I'm just saying something sinister afoot. Like they got lucky that he was fine.
Yeah.
Yeah.
They got very lucky that he was okay.
So I did, in the course of investigating some of these individuals, I did find like pictures of stuff referencing the caving club in 2018, which is, after this happened, after they had been suspended. And I don't know if the like IU caving club name was being used sort of like informally. and maybe they were reinstated at some point, but they do not exist anymore. There is no IU caving club, nor has there been in some time.
Oh.
Yeah.
But like the individuals responsible, like they didn't get, put on probation from school or...
No. They're both actually still around. Yep.
Wow.
Mm-hmm.
I'm just like, I don't think you should be able to get away with that. Like, that's the luckiest shit I've ever heard. Like, you locked someone in a cave for 3 days and then didn't call the police and just went back and he was just there and then it's fine.
And then they didn't take him to the hospital.
No. Yeah, I guess that
they just took him back to his dorm room.
Took him back to his dorm room.
They say the standard is that if the person, like, doesn't exhibit any signs of mental confusion and is, like, seems physically okay, you don't have to take them to the hospital. And they were like, we knew he was fine because he picked up, like, all his trash on the way out, which is, like, caving etiquette. It's like, that doesn't mean anything.
That means, he was there for 3 days. Take him to the fucking hospital.
He did some interviews, like, immediately after and was like, I'm fine. Like, I'm so glad they found me. But then I also saw some interviews with him, like, in the following months where he's like, yeah, I'm, like, still sort of processing this terrible thing that happened to me.
Yeah, because he had a near-death experience.
Yeah, he was writing. I saw he, like, used his iPad to write, like, notes to his family and his, like, friends. Like,
his phone.
Yeah.
When his phone had power, he was writing out, like, goodbye letters to his friends and family.
Yeah. It's horrifying.
Yeah, that is horrifying. Can you imagine that car ride back? Like, you're driving, the person who locked you in is unlocking you, and then you have to drive for, like, an hour?
Yeah, like half an hour. What do you guys talk about?
They give you, like, a sandwich that they didn't finish. I mean, it's so insulting.
It's so insulting.
And then he just, like, dropped him back off at his dorm and was like, he was supposed to just go back to normal. Yeah.
Insane.
Sorry, dude.
Yeah.
Insane.
Yeah.
I just don't understand, like, why I've never heard about this. Like, living in Bloomington, being so close to IU. Like,
We were in a different scene, man.
Yeah, these were like Spia people.
Dude, I don't know. I think this was a cover-up. I think
so too.
I think IU has been shaky. I think probably they're a little wary of negative, dangerous press after, like, especially like 2017. It's like
after Joseph Smedley,
Joseph Smedley, Hannah Wilson. It was like mid 2010s.
Wait, so this is around the same year.
This is yeah.
Let's see.
Wait, when was Smedley? Was it 19?
I want to say it was.
No, it was early. It was like 15.
2015.
Hannah Wilson was 2015 too.
So we're talking about different mysterious circumstances of people either disappearing in the case of Lauren Spearer, turning up dead under extremely mysterious and suspicious circumstances. Joseph Smedley case, listen to the podcast Heavyweight if you want to hear a lot of very good and well-researched information about that case, still unsolved. And Hannah Wilson, who was like caught by a man who, if he wasn't a serial killer, was on the way to becoming one and killed. That was also 2015.
But maybe they were just, I don't know. I'm just like speculating if they wouldn't. I don't know, man. I'm just confused why this wasn't a bigger deal. Like, I think it's
in the IDS article, she interviewed one of the people responsible, and all they said was like, it's a pending legal matter. Like, they didn't even have, the humanity to be like, I am so regretful and I'm so sorry, and I can't imagine like the emotional toll like I put on this person.
Yeah, I mean, if you can't like admit liability if you're trying to cover your ass, which I would say like maybe if you do that kind of thing, you should maybe have to take responsibility for it.
Can you imagine like fucking up that hard? Like the hardest you've ever fucked up, like you have never fucked up as hard as like these people, like, which is kind of comforting.
Yeah.
Have you ever like locked someone inside of a cave for 3 days because you didn't like count right? That's like,
and I think there's like it's a really easy psychological trick to play on yourself to be like, well, I'm not like morally responsible because it was an accident. I didn't mean to do anything bad, so it's not actually my fault.
It's negligence. I don't know. Yeah, I'm like, if these people like didn't get charged, like I hope they at least got sued by that family. I hope that guy sued
If they
them.
did, it like never. There's no public information about it, which doesn't mean it didn't happen.
Yeah,
it could certainly.
Damn.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's crazy. It's crazy that he's okay.
Yeah, I would be interested to know how he feels now, many years on.
He seemed very easygoing in the
He seemed like a very chill kid.
He was like, "Oh, hey, not a big deal. Yeah, that sucked, but I'm glad I'm all right."
Very Midwestern response to be someone negligently locking you somewhere for 3 days.
No worries, man, no worries.
Yeah, but also I'm like living in a state of psychological trauma because of what you did to me.
Yeah, right. Like I'll never go in a cave again, probably.
Yeah, shit, I wouldn't.
I wonder if he ever went back.
So that's our local cave happening. Cover up, maybe.
Cover up.
We'll post
up to no good.
I mean, it's public information. Like if you dig a little, you can find these people's names, but we can also post the unedited version of the IDS story because it's on a public part of the internet. It's interesting.
Yeah.
She won an award. Good work, IDS journalist whose name is Sarah Verschoor. She won $5,000 for this story.
Well earned.
Nope, 1,000.
Okay, give her 4 more.
She got 5th place. I would have given her
5th place.
At least 3rd for this one. It's a well-researched story.
What, of the IDS?
Here's the thing. The IDS mostly sucks, but I've also read some very good feature writing in the IDS from time to time. Stuff that's the HT does not cover. Yeah, the editorials are always shit.
When we were teens, it was a thing. I would make a point to read the editorials because they were so funny. They were so bad.
I think but we have a good journalism school, and probably the people who are very serious occasionally get assigned real stuff and do a pretty good job. It does happen.
I've heard it's gotten a lot better.
Yeah, there was a really good story about Ellen Marks, who is a woman who was living on the hill, kind of living in a Ted Kaczynski style, but right by the train tracks in just a part of Bloomington, who was dismembered by another guy who probably would have been a serial killer if he wasn't already. And Izzy, your mom knew her.
What?
She was a spoonie. Yeah.
Oh my God.
So the guy who maybe killed her, it's very strange. It seems like he probably had help, but no one ever figured out who the guy who helped him was. He was in prison for a long time, and then there was a big dispute about him getting out, whether or not he could come back to Bloomington. So there's a great,
I remember when he got out. Yeah.
Yeah, there was a really good. Wait, am I right about that? Because I think he ended up. Yeah, no, he got out and then he ended up back in jail.
Who was the lady who disappeared going to Caveat Emptor, our local used bookstore?
Yeah, that is my and Caveat Emptor was on Indiana at the time. It's where the Starbucks is now. That is my favorite local case. That's Margaret Ann Hayes.
That's never been solved, right?
No, it has never been solved.
My dad kind of knew her. He knew her. He was yeah, we weren't close, but we were both in the same. They were both in the English department at the same time. And I would constantly accuse him of being responsible for her disappearance, which is probably too. I wouldn't do that now. It's a little too mean. I realize now, but especially when I was in my early 20s and late teens, I would be so what happened? What were you doing that day?
What were you up to?
Where were you that afternoon?
That case haunts me because she lived right next to the optometry building, and she was going from there to where the Starbucks in Indiana is now, which is a 6-7 minute walk. It's not remote. It's right through campus. You cross College and 3rd, and then Indiana's a busy street. Who the fuck took her? And she did not run away. She needed her contact lenses very badly. She could not see without them. And her contacts case was still, all her stuff was still in her room. She didn't do it on purpose. Someone definitely got her. So that's a case that I think about all the time. We should wrap it up. It also has nothing to do with caves.
No caves.
I gotta go.
This was the extended play caves, 2 hours of just talking about hot talk, caves, and disappearances.
That's
I feel
right.
We have to resume this podcast October, first week of October.
Crowdfunding to get Dylan one of those really quiet, top AC things.
Yeah.
Could use the Patreon money on one of those.
The one in my bedroom doesn't work anymore too.
Oh,
So
no.
like I'm down to one window unit in this apartment.
Send Dylan a little neck fan.
Send me
Everybody.
a new apartment if you can.
Send him an apartment.
Can
Okay.
you just send me an apartment, please?
Hey, maybe you should go live in a cave where it's cool.
Honestly,
Hey, join our Patreon so that we can get Dylan a new apartment.
Yeah.
please, I need a new apartment.
Or at
so
the
bad.
bare minimum, a cave.
I'd rock a cave.
You'd be great. I could see you as a cave dweller. I mean that in a non-derogatory way.
Thank you, Sarah.
You're welcome. Hey, even though the gods are crazy.
And even though the stars are blind.
Don't go down there. Don't
Yeah.
go down there.
Don't do
Best
it.
case scenario, guy's gonna turn off the lights and play the pan flute to remind you of like the vast empty darkness, and it's just gonna, don't go down there.
Yeah.
And
No
if you do,
benefit to it.
be careful.
Yeah, watch out. There's
Yeah.
Mormons down there, folks.
Wear cleats.
That's Morlocks.
Have a
Cleats.
headlamp. Bring food.
Um,
And don't lose sight of your buddy.
don't
Yeah.
lose sight of your buddy at
And
all. Dude.
don't go anywhere head first.
No.
No. That's
Okay.
like rule 1.
Goodbye.
Okay, goodbye.
Everybody.